So this is the Medical Practice Pearls podcast, and we have one of our early guests here, Omar. Omar Khateeb. Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah, absolutely, glad. And yeah, thanks for having me as a guest. I was really excited to join. You guys do some fantastic work, so we're looking
Yeah.
forward to chatting.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really passionate about the industry here. Always trying to move it forward. And today, obviously, your background is in marketing, and that's what I'd want to chat about. Can you give the audience a little bit of a 30-second rundown on your genius here? Because I know, you've just been killing it.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, so my name's Omar Khateeb. My background is originally from Texas. Went to school for biology and chemistry. Did a lot of research, and of course, that led me into medical school at Texas Tech. And after a few years in medical school, I decided it just wasn't for me. I ended up dropping out and going straight into medical devices, and more specifically, disruptive medical devices. So I was with the world's first robotic spine and neurosurgical company, Mazor Robotics, which later on got acquired. And from there, I've spent my entire career in disruptive medical technologies. Currently, I'm the director of growth for Potrero Medical, which is a predictive health company focused on precision fluid management in critical care settings.
Yeah, you're crushing it, right? Like you're just killing it right now. And
I'm trying to keep up with you, man.
so especially in marketing, Omar is one of the people I always go to when it comes to marketing advice. He has a really sharp mind there. He's an avid reader. He always, you can see all the books in his background. And so basically, today in today's world, actually, obviously, Omar, we're going through some hard times with this whole COVID situations. I see some doctors, their patient practices are increasing. Some of the non-essentials, even the dentists actually here locally in Seattle, have to shut down their practice. It's pretty crazy here. What would, I guess, first of all, kind of from a general point of view, what do you think doctors should be doing to market their businesses in this time when it's fairly hectic?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the biggest thing that people have to keep in mind is that during a time like this, people start worrying and they decide they're going to start contracting. But if anything, this is a great time to start expanding, right? Many businesses are hit very hard, especially medical practices right now. But this is an opportunity for physicians to say, okay, how can I start billing, for example, using telemedicine and telehealth, so that way I can see patients, deliver patient care, but still get paid and make sure that I keep my practice afloat. So rather, yes, there's definitely going to be a lot of chaos, and some practices will close, but many, instead of dissolving, they're going to evolve as a result of this. Me personally, I always recommend every medical practice to get in touch with Logic Inbound, because you guys are the best in the industry when it comes to SEO. So finding out ways about how they can market their practice online, I think teaming up with a company like Logic Inbound is really good. And there's other really exciting companies and technologies out there that can make a physician's practice so much more dynamic. One of my very close friends, Dr. Fasayo Oshitelu, started a company called Gentem that does instant physician payments. So they pretty much plug into a practice's billing system, and using AI, they figure out the best ways to code and get physicians paid instantly. So that way the doctor doesn't even have to worry about billing anymore. So now you cut down the costs on the overhead of running a practice, let's say the marketing and the SEO. And now physicians are empowered to expand and evolve their practices to be a lot more dynamic. So yes, it's scary times, it's chaotic, but a lot of times in chaos, you can find a lot of order and opportunity. And I think the right medical practices who do that will be incredibly, incredibly prosperous and successful.
That's I 100% agree with you. I was talking to one of my doctor clients actually yesterday, and she said, I don't want to be opportunistic, but telemedicine right now is going to start exploding. The regulations on that obviously are going to start getting a little bit looser. Now, why do you think actually that during these types of recessions, or I guess kind of calamities, do people naturally, they don't want to expand, or maybe they have that hesitancy? What do you think goes through their minds, and why do you think that is? I love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, and you cut out for one quick second. What goes through their minds?
Why do you think during recessions people actually start contracting? Like, why don't you think we naturally
Oh,
as people just want to
yeah,
expand?
yeah. Look. If we go back to basic evolutionary psychology, no matter what, even when it's a good thing, the brain does not like change. So when I moved out to San Francisco, it was my dream to move out here. It was very exciting. So consciously, I was excited. But my brainstem, the primitive brain part of my brain, doesn't know the difference between opportunity and not. It just knows that change is bad, because change most of the time means you're going to die. And
Yep.
so when something like this happens, the primitive brain, the brainstem it stands for 4 F's: feeding, fighting, fleeing, and fornication. Everything you decide is fed into one of those four things. And so
Hmm.
when it comes to the economy, that goes into the feeding bucket, right? Because
Hmm.
money, sustenance,
Hmm.
survival. So when the
Hmm.
economy is in a recession, plus with the media, everything is sort of over dramatized. People really contract because of that. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a very serious situation.
Of
Uh,
course.
it needs to be taken very seriously. But here's one thing I'll say, and I'll make a prediction on this show. I posted it about a week ago. If you guys thought the stock market crash was impressive, wait till you see it go back up. The one thing that I can guarantee you is that this country is evolving in its business practices. The markets are going to come back even stronger. And most importantly, we're gonna see human ingenuity like none other, because for the first time in history, you can see it on Twitter live. The smartest people in the world, whether they're doctors, business people, etc., are all focused on one problem and exchanging information about it. So just sit back and watch what's going to happen in the next few weeks. I'm very positive because, one, you should never bet against the human race because we're really good at outlasting everything. And number two, never bet against America. I mean, that's even what Warren Buffett even says that. He's like, never bet against America.
Sure, I like that. And speaking of ingenuity, obviously, you're one of the sharpest marketing minds out there. And a chief marketer at your company as well. What would your advice be for some of these doctors? Because I can kind of, I'm listening to some of my clients. One of them actually, I did a consulting project for her, and then she went out of business. Luckily, I didn't take her for a campaign. I said, hey, you want to have 3 months of savings saved up before you even start doing extra stuff. What about like these doctors that maybe they didn't have savings in place? Maybe they've got a lot of medical debt. What kind of marketing practices do you think they should take a look at to, maybe outside the box, social media? I don't know. What would you recommend to these people who don't have that, $10,000 budget and have saved?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the big thing is that, you want to grow your business during these times, but you also don't want to spend money. You have to be very careful. But there's a lot of ways to be incredibly creative. I mean, look, one way is if you can't afford a service, try and barter. Go back to, the old world. We did this for thousands of years where we trade services, correct? So as a physician, maybe there's a way to start doing that. For example, if let's say you're a spine surgeon, right? And you're trying to set up cases. Obviously elective surgeries aren't being done right now, but let's just say when all this goes back to normal, coordinate with a chiropractor and say, hey, look, I have plenty of patients that I can refer to you. You can refer to me as well. Let's start helping each other out, right? As they say, a rising tide raises all boats. That's one thing. The other thing is that, for a very small amount of money, you can hire somebody maybe overseas even to try running your social media. That should be something that you run, you know, but at least getting it kicked off. At the very least, when it comes to content creation, physicians can start, for example, opening an Instagram and just posting. A lot of times it's just persistence, right?
Hmm.
And I think the most important thing, as we've seen in evolution and biology, is that the organisms that are able to adapt and evolve, right? Those are the ones
Hmm.
that outlast, not the biggest, not the fastest or strongest. And that's why
Hmm.
even in the business world, a lot of startups that have very little to no money start beating out in market share these larger corporations because they're quick, nimble, and fast, and they experiment a lot. So
Hmm.
wherever there's a will, there's a way, right? And if your mindset as a business person, as a physician, is only at negativity, lack of resources, weaknesses, I don't have this, I don't have that, that's all you're going to get. But if you change it to a systems approach in terms of there's opportunity all around me and I'm going to find a way to take advantage of it, your thoughts will move towards your actions. And as you act towards this, these things will start falling through. There's a reason why people who are wildly successful, they keep on hitting things left and right out of the park. is because of this mindset translates to actions.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, this reminds me of a conversation we had one time. Guys, Omar is a great guy in the community. I definitely recommend everybody connect with him, because one time I was saying, hey, my name, Vladimir Katumian, I don't know if I should put that, and then I was kind of worried about maybe the minor things. It's like the little things that don't really matter. And then you said, you know what, Vlad, that's low yield thinking. And then I stole that. I was like, man, I think I told you I was like, I'm going to use that everywhere. And so now
Oh, you
whenever I
should.
hear somebody say something like that, I say, you know what, that's low yield thinking. Let's start thinking about the things that can really make an impact. And that's pretty difficult, I think, obviously, in when you're getting attacked or you feel like you are, right? You've got panic.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
would your suggestions and tips be for doctors? Because I think everybody can grow their practice, right? It's not hard to reach out to, think about, oh, here are my college friends that are also in the industry that can give me business deals. But what would your advice be for doctors that are basically trying to get into that mindset? Do you have like a meditation thing you do? Do you have
Yeah,
like a weekly
absolutely.
marketing,
I mean,
brainstorm?
look, Logic Inbound, you guys are naturally doing this. You're becoming a platform where you're connecting all these like-minded physicians. Look, the best way to change your psychology is, one, to do something publicly and do it with other like-minded people. So of course, if you're running a practice, you shouldn't be talking to your friends who are just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to shut my practice down, etc. Get on Twitter. A lot of physicians are on Twitter. Get on LinkedIn and start looking for these physicians and connecting with them and saying, hey, I have some ideas about my practice. You're in another state, so we're not even competing, but I'd love to get on the phone and start sharing. Get a little group of 4 or 5 other doctors and say, hey, like once a week, let's get on the phone and share what we're learning. Physicians do this all the time when it comes to medical papers and conferences and everything. They don't do this when it comes to business, especially surgeons. So if they find a way to get out of this mindset and say, okay, I'm going to get a small group of people together that are physicians who are going to share for the benefit of the group. And as a result, it's going to be a support network, right? Because it's just like going to the gym. Look, as motivated and disciplined as I am, I need other people to help me stay disciplined and true. So the days that I'm having a bad day, I go in and I still get in a really good workout. Even today, as I work out from home, I'll FaceTime with another friend and they'll do another workout with me. Even watching a YouTube video and pretending other people are there is helpful as a human. So I think
That's gold.
looking for those networks, and most importantly, look, you're going to interview a lot of really high quality physicians on the show. Physicians who are listening right now, you should find a way to connect with the physicians that Vlad and his company are interacting with, because they're like-minded physicians.
100%. I really agree, because I feel like it's not just about, us and SEO or whatever, right? It's about building the platform. And I think if you are passionate about your field, right? If you want to be a leader, right? Then you're going to connect with other leaders. You're going to figure out a way to push the field forward. And so, we're always happy to first and foremost make those connections. So that's really gold. I didn't even think about that. What's funny is, like, my mom's a real estate agent, and I said she should do this with a real estate agent. Doctors should definitely, that is a pearl right there. My favorite from this interview so far, where if you just talk to other doctors and weekly, you guys share tips, you will grow very fast, and then also emotionally, probably during this recession time, you'll feel a lot safer because you have other people that are in your shoes and maybe they're doing a little bit better than you, hopefully, right? Like, you want to go for the people that you really admire. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, like I said, this is a time of opportunity, and I think companies like you and Logic Inbound, you guys are doing a great service because you're very, very driven by your mission, which is helping medical practice. You can be trying to help a lot of other companies that say spend more money, make more money, but you have a fantastic mission, because when you help these physicians out with their practices, you're in a way indirectly helping them serve more patients and deliver better education to them. So I think it's a great mission, and I'm very happy that companies like Logic Inbound do exist.
thank you. I mean, I'm happy that people like you exist, and that's one of the reasons I actually really love this field, because it's more about, to me, about collaboration and helping and caring, and
Mhm.
not just about, hey, dollar first mentality, where some of the other industries are. And what's also, I think, interesting right now is you can kind of see people's colors kind of rise, in times of panic and distress. So everybody can really see the people in the industry that will guide them when things go back up. So I love that.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, our time, I know you're very busy, and our time's coming to an end. can you give us any parting words of wisdom? You know, what would you say doctors should kind of take away as kind of next steps?
Sure. And I'm going to tell you my mantra, which I can, it's one of the only things that's original, right? That I have not seen anywhere that someone says, but I tell every marketer, every person this is my message to physicians. Think like a scientist, act like an artist. Think like a scientist is that you're going to be objective. You're going to see what works, what doesn't work. You're not going to have a personal attachment to things, right? But act like an artist in the sense that you're going to do art. You're going to try things that may not work, that may actually fail. But the fact is that you're going to try it anyway. There's no reason to be ashamed of it, and you're going to do it for the sake of doing it and trying something new to evolve. So that's my message to all the physicians.
I love that. That's a fantastic going away message, and I think that's a great philosophy. And you know, I look forward to watching you continually rise in the field. Omar, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Definitely had a lot of wisdom to share.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vlad, and best of luck.
Thank you.